Hi, I'm Sandy Gluck. Welcome to Food on 10, and today I'm going to cook up a little bit of chicken, and I do mean a little bit. I'm going to make something that is good for 2 people. You could certainly increase this, but I'm going to be using a small pan, and that's why I'm just doing a small amount of chicken. Now the chicken dish is going to have some parsley in it, so the first thing I'm going to do is chop some parsley. I happen to prefer flat leaf parsley, also known as Italian parsley. You can use whatever kind of parsley you like, but this is really my favorite. I think it has a little bit more flavor. Here is a very cool way to get the parsley off the stem. You know, recipes always call for parsley. They're talking about the leaves. The stems they can be a little bit tough. It doesn't matter if you get a little bit of stem in there, but you can just slice the leaves off like this. The parsley's been washed, and I am going to chop this and just get it ready. If this is something that you don't feel like doing, the recipe doesn't absolutely need the parsley. I just think it's sort of nice. It gives a little bit of color and a little bit more interest. But again, this is one of those recipes, and you'll see as we move along, that you can sort of customize and make it your own. So I'm just doing it very, very simply. What it is, it's chicken in lemon sauce. So the parsley, I don't want it really fine. I want these leaves to be sort of coarse. I want to get a little bit of the flavor of the parsley. I like to think of it as more than just something that colors the sauce. It really is an herb. It really has a lot of flavor. So I'm going to leave it a little bit coarse. I'm just going to push that over to the side here. And then I'm going to season my chicken. Now these are chicken cutlets, and I'm using them specifically because they take pretty much 2 to 3 minutes total time to cook. So if you're coming home from work, you want a quick meal, this is a perfect thing to do. I'm going to take a little bit of coarse salt, sprinkle that on the chicken. I'm going to put a little bit of pepper on. Again, this is very simple. But you could season this a little bit of rosemary if you liked. A little bit of tarragon would be nice too. I'm just doing a real simple salt and pepper seasoning. Then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on it. The reason is the flour will coat the chicken. It's going to sear. It's going to be sort of crispy on the outside and tender inside. It also helps at the end to thicken up the sauce, so I'm going to be doing a pan sauce. Super, super easy. You know, this way you don't have to dirty too many things. So I'm going to sprinkle the flour. You don't need to do a ton of flour here. I'm going to sprinkle it. I'm going to turn the chicken over. See that? All those pieces. And then I'm going to sprinkle it again. Now remember, if you are doing this and you've reached your hand that had chicken on it into the flour, don't save this flour if you have leftover. Just get rid of it. So there you go. Now I'm going to take a minute to wash my hands. We're going to get cooking. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in this skillet, and this is an 8-inch scan pan. It's a very nice little pan. These pans can go in the oven and on top of the stove. My heat here is about medium, maybe a little bit higher. I'm going to swirl the olive oil around in the pan. And you'll notice I'm not using a lot of olive oil here. And the pan doesn't need a lot of olive oil, which is another beautiful thing. I'm going to wait until it heats up, and I can tell that it's hot enough when I hold my hand over this. And I can't hold it there any longer. That tells me that the pan is hot. Another way of testing if something is hot enough, you can take a little bit of, here's some flour, and take a little bit of flour and put it in the pan. If it starts to sizzle, it's just getting ready to sizzle. If it starts to sizzle and golden, then you know that it's ready to go. So I'm going to wait just another minute. You don't want to put it in when the oil isn't hot enough. That's when things absorb oil. Really, when you're frying things, if you get the oil hot enough, you'd be surprised at how little oil something absorbs. So now I'm going to take the chicken, and since I've already cleaned my hands, I am going to use a cook's fork. I'm going to put that in the pan. You can hear that starting to sizzle there. And again, I haven't put a thick coating of flour on this, just a little bit. Can you hear that sizzle? It's sizzling away. Now I've turned the heat up a little bit. It's more like on, oh, it's a little bit higher. So I'm waiting for that to get done. Again, it'll cook really quickly. I have my parsley ready to go. In the measuring cup here, I have some lemon juice that I've squeezed, fresh lemon juice. You can use bottled lemon juice, but fresh lemon juice really has a much brighter flavor to it. What I'm going to do is once the chicken is done, and I can hear it starting to cook really nicely, once the chicken is cooked through, I'm going to take it out of the pan. I'll actually put it on my cutting board, which is clean. I'll take it out of the pan. I will deglaze the pan. What that means is you are adding something to the pan to pick up any kind of bits and pieces that stuck to the bottom. I'm going to let the lemon juice cook just for a little, less than a minute. And then I'm going to take it off the heat and swirl in some cold butter. And that will give you something called, be emulsified. It makes a nice little thick pan sauce. Now the chicken, I'm turning it over. It's been about a minute and a half. The chicken is almost done. This one piece here, the smaller piece, is pretty done. Once that is done, as I said, I'm going to take it out and put it on a plate. So here we go. The chicken is going on the plate. You can see there's very little oil left in the pan, but I can get rid of that, or I can leave, since there's just a little bit, I think I'm going to leave that in. Now I'm going to take some lemon juice, pour a little bit of that into the skillet. You can see it's bubbling up there. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this. Look at all those nice bubbles. Just a little bit. And now I'm going to turn the heat off. Just one other second. Okay, turn the heat off, and I'm going to add some cold butter. So I just cut the butter up into chips, add some cold butter, and I'm going to swirl that in. If you wanted to, you could whisk it in, but the heat from the lemon juice, if I swirl this, is going to melt the butter. The reason you don't put it on right directly on the stove is you really don't want it to melt and get oily. You just want it to sort of melt and get creamy. So we're almost ready here. And now I'm going to take some of this parsley, throw it into the pan, swirl it, and just pour this sauce over the chicken. So there you go. That is a lemon pan sauce. And thank you for watching Food on 10. I'm Sandy Gluck.